So, as a bonus episode, we thought we would have some fun with some E3 predictions and also some favourite moments from past E3s. So, with E3 coming up, it's not only about 4 or 5 days away. We thought we'd just go through maybe Sony, all of the big hitters, and we would just pick some predictions, some of the things that maybe we would like to see, or judging by the news, some of the things we think we might see. So, Darren, you're our kind of resident Sony fanboy. So why don't you kick off the Sony side? What do you think? What's your first prediction?
My first prediction. Well, I think that we should get a release date for No Man's Sky. That's what I'm hoping for. That's my prediction. No Man's Sky, the space exploration game that's coming out on PS4. It's not exclusive to PS4. It's timed exclusive, but they're sort of treating it like as if it is only for all them. Being worked on by the Joe Danger guys. What's the name of that? I might just have to look that up. What are they called?
Yeah, it's a very small studio, isn't it? And they were affected by the floods at was it last Christmas? And where they lost a lot of their servers, lost a lot of their infrastructure while they were doing it.
That's right, they did. They lost a lot of their infrastructure, a lot of the data went awry. Hello Games, that's it. It's such a strange jump from Hello Danger to No Man's Sky, but it looks. I love the graphical style. I'm just on board for No Man's Sky. You know, I see it as a console seller for whichever console it's on, Xbox included when it comes out on that. So I'm hoping for some more information and a release date for No Man's Sky, and I'm thinking as Uncharted has been delayed until later on in 2016, that maybe this could be an ace from Sony. Maybe they're going to pull this one out of the hat and say, yeah, all right, we haven't got your Uncharted, but No Man's Sky is going to come out on what's the last sort of release date? End of November or early December 2015, and that would be fantastic. So yeah, that's my first prediction. Then I think maybe they'll mention a little bit about Drive Club PS Plus version. Well, I don't think they'll probably go on too much about the state of it when it was released and all the bugs and all the patching that had to be done and the outcry. But I think that they will maybe do an apology for the PS Plus version being so late, and they'll announce that that's going to be released, maybe even at the end of their keynote, something like that. And and maybe they'll do something extra to sort of make up for that. I'm not sure. What about you? Let's work through them together.
Okay. So you actually think that we'll see the PS Plus version of Drive Club? You actually think that we will see that? They haven't just scrapped it?
Well, it's a big promise to go back on, you know. It's a big part of E3 when they announced that was going to be free for PS Plus. When they announced Drive Club, you know, it was so big. Yeah, the furore has sort of died down, but that's still a promise they made. If it was me and I was in charge of the company, I'd feel that I'd want to stand by that promise. I'd want to deliver it, and I'd also feel that I'd got to do some making up to the fans, really, you know. So I think that would be the best forum to deliver that news.
Absolutely. It will be the most receptive forum, won't it? Because they always feel those keynotes with an audience, so they would go crazy if they started off going, Drive Club, you can get it for free now. That would really start the conference on a good note, I would think. Yeah, and it's almost that I'd be feeling that they'd have to do a little bit more. And I was thinking that maybe something like they say, yeah, and by the way, just as an apology, I know you've been waiting for it for a long time and it's been a bit quiet, but Journey is now available on PS4, and you're going to get that free as well for PS Plus members right after the event, something like that. Wowzers. I mean, I think my first prediction is one of the studios that have been very quiet for a while is Sony Studio, Bend Studio. So my first prediction could potentially be maybe they're working on something like a Siphon Filter.
Wow, what a great prediction. Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yeah, we haven't seen Siphon Filter since PSP, I think was the last one that we had. And that was a great game on the PSP. So maybe we'll get some kind of next-gen version of Siphon Filter.
Is that the one that had dinosaurs in?
No, wasn't that Dino Club? Or Dino something by Capcom?
Was it? Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
Dino Crisis.
Dino Crisis. I thought Siphon Filter had dinosaurs in. I'm thinking of a PS1 game from a long time ago. But I think
you're thinking about Dino Crisis. But they're
clues in the name.
So yeah, Siphon Filter was the one where they kind of very much kind of snipery, almost a
Metal Gear
covert
sort of
agent.
game.
Yeah, it was a bit similar to that. So right, what's your next Sony prediction? I quite like these. It's quite exciting.
Okay, my next one would be some probably a pretty obvious one. Some more Morpheus details.
Right.
So I'm hoping that they would. This is like I hope too far, but I'd like to see them demonstrate or show the hardware, demonstrate some of the experiences that you can have with it. I'm not asking for the whole world, not even a fully fledged game, but just give us an idea of the experiences that you can have with it, and just an idea of how it works with the PS4. And if they could give us some details of sort of price and how they expect it will be used, and maybe there's some ways of utilising the hardware that's not just games that they're going to introduce. That'd be nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'd be very interesting to see. I mean, I think that VR is going to be all over E3, but it'd be very interesting to see how they're going to show these. Because you can't experience VR unless you have the headset on. So it'd be quite interesting in a big keynote how they're actually going to show it. Yeah,
and be honest about the field of view as well.
Absolutely. I think, right, my next one is I think that the PS Vita is going to get one more big push from Sony. I know they came up and said that a version of the console is a legacy system now, but I think that's kind of more of the old one. But I think there's going to be, I mean, at the moment it's very much an indie machine. When an indie comes out on the PS Plus, it's always cross-buy, cross-play on the Vita. But I think that they're not done with it yet. I'd be very surprised if they ever did a Vita 2. But I expect to see just maybe one big push and maybe something, a God of War collection, something, just coming out on the Vita just to give it one last push. Because the thing about the Vita is that it hasn't got a huge base. I think there's about 10 million out there. But the people that have Vitas buy lots of games. So I think the attach rate for a Vita is higher than any other console, handheld or otherwise. So there is a lot of games out there and a lot of people playing a lot of games on the Vita. So I wouldn't see Sony kind of dropping it anytime soon. And I expect just to maybe just kind of that one huge last push for the Vita.
Wow. Well, I think they're not going to mention it. So we'll see. One of us is going to be right. It'll be interesting.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens with it. I think they've let it go, but I hope they haven't. And we'll see. Yeah, and yeah, you mentioned God of War there. How could I have missed that? I didn't think about that for some reason, but it'd be great to hear of a new God of War.
Yes, absolutely. Indeed, resurrect, but continue that franchise, bring that kind of to the PS4. That would be because they are bringing. Is it God of War 3 HD?
Yeah, they are bringing God of War 3 HD, and I love the God of War franchise as well. Really enjoyed it. Another exclusive that I hopped off my 360 to play on the PS3. Really enjoyed them, and a bit like God of War 2 was the swan song for the PS2. I mean, that game is phenomenal. And it still is in my eyes. I mean, did you play it? Did you play God of War 1 and 2?
I did. I played 1 and 2, and I also played the version that was on the either Vita or PS.
Oh yeah, Chains of Olympus was it or something?
That's the one. Yes, and I really enjoyed that as well. I think I annoyed the people around me on the train because there's a lot of button bashing on that game.
Like a lobster claw, going for it.
Absolutely, but they're great games. They are just kind of a very good button bash for really good kind of really good bosses. They're great games. So it would be interesting.
Yeah, at the end of God of War 2, where you're fighting on the sword that is actually present during the fight that you fought at the end of God of War 1. I was just blown away by that. And you're really small fighting on the sword of the god that's like part of the boss fight for the previous game end. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. So that would be great. And I'm sure it's mythology. They can always rustle Kratos back up. Or maybe it's not like Master Chief for God of War. Maybe it'd be okay without Kratos. But just that sense of epic scale and that. See, there aren't any games that do this sort of Clash of the Titans kind of thing. And I love that. I really loved God of War games because of that. I've always loved Greek mythology and stuff. And it's just great. And the epic sense of scale that they deliver in those games is just it's great. So there's another. That's more of a play than a prediction. It wasn't on my predictions list, but yeah, that would be great to hear something about Kratos or God of War, a proper next gen, not just a remake.
Interesting. My last prediction for Sony, a bit of a kind of out there one because they need to make money, but the PS Now, which is still in beta in the UK, but PS Now will be free for PlayStation Plus subscribers.
Yeah, that would be really cool and a sensible move, really, because I don't think there's going to be that much of a take up on it. Whereas if you it's a bit like, you subsidise the hardware, like a mobile phone or whatever, or even a console. It's like you're given this, and then through that, they've got the access to then start buying stuff. So yeah, and it'd be really well received, and you've got that huge back catalogue of games to play on through it. I mean, I wouldn't be able to help myself. I'd be buying some old school stuff if they gave it me for free.
Absolutely, I'm part of the beta, and when they were giving your games away for free, one of the games that I never finished, I got to a point it got stuck, which was Batman Arkham Origins, the last kind of Batman game. So they had it there as part of the beta, and I just clicked on it, and they said, well, your bandwidth is good enough to actually start streaming, so do you want to play it now? And I was like, well, okay, and it just started straight away. There was no lag. The graphics were fantastic. It even looked like it upscaled the graphics slightly because I was playing on my PS4, but that could have just been my new TV doing that. But they even looked smoother, and it was just straight away. Just streaming that game. You're getting trophies. All of that stuff was just there. So if they gave that away for free, because I noticed I got an email today saying that they're the next phase of the beta is that they're going to start charging minimal amounts for a 30-day period. And one of the games that they've got up there is Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus, and I always fancy playing that. And but it's you have to pay for it for 30 days. So I just wonder if maybe the PS Now, because there isn't a huge uptake on it, the PS Now becomes part of that PS Plus, and that kind of one-ups Microsoft, doesn't it?
Yeah, that'd be great. That's a prediction I can definitely get behind. Yeah, fingers crossed for that. That would be cool. Yeah. Wow, I'm going to be hoping for that now.
Yeah, you'll be disappointed if that doesn't happen.
I'm going to walk away shuffling my feet if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you'll be like, you told me this was going to be free. What we should do is we should keep track of these and see who, maybe kind of give a
scorecard.
10 points for each one that's right, and then during the conferences we can message each other, go, I got that one right, and we can see how well we did. So what's your last Sony one?
So my last Sony one, I'm sort of ashamed to bring it up really, but the Guardian has reported that they've got it on good authority that the last Guardian is reportedly to appear at E3. I'm sort of sick of hearing this every year, but it's out there. It's the Guardian. It's quite reputable, broadsheet. So there you have it. There's no other information. That's it. The Guardian's reportedly going to appear at E3. It's sort of set the internet slightly alight. Lots of people sort of going on about it. On NeoGAF in particular, just saying, yeah, as if sort of thing. We're all fed up of it. Or like you get the other side saying, oh no, don't make me cry again. Which that's the camp I've been in for years, ever since I've seen it. But now I've had to grow toughen my skin to be able to get through that and not expect it. So I've not been expecting this at all. Now, if this happens, and if it equals the expectation that I have now upon it, because obviously what it looked like then, and the way that it blew us away then, it would have to look better now, because that it still looks okay, but it's going to be dated now. That would be great. It'd be great to see a little bit of Team Ico's work, and just hear something about it, or just say, oh, we've canned it. Just say we've canned Last Guardian, forget about it, and that we can all have some closure.
Absolutely, we've killed that big winged dog. Yeah. It's done. But do you know? Here they go. This will test you. Do you know when you first heard about Last Guardian?
2010.
Almost 2009. It was E3 2009 when they first showed for the PS3 when they showed it. But they have reportedly said that they're working on it. They haven't said that game is canned, and they've continually said that they're still working on it.
They have,
so I would love. It's more something that maybe would appear at Tokyo Game Show, but I would love it. Imagine if the E3 conference, like the Sony one, just started with The Last Guardian. You're like, oh, what's this game? And then it just panned up some rock face, and there was that big winged dog thing. Yeah. You would just go crazy. That would just be...
I can imagine it. It's like, it starts and it's all dark, like you're in a cave or something, and some music, you're like, I don't recognise this music. Oh, it's a new IP, fantastic. And then you just can see something, and then it pans up and it's a claw, and then, it's that big white griffiny dog thing, and you're just like, and it's like, da-da-da, and it says Last Guardian. It's free with PS Plus after the event. And you're like, hooray!
It's free now. Sorry for making you wait 6 years.
You entitled gamers, we're wrong. You're all right. Yes, everything that we get wrong, you can have it free after the event.
You can have it free on PS3 right now.
It's a bit buggy though.
Yeah, exactly. The frame rate's really bad. Right, so that's Sony. Do you have any other Sony predictions before we move on?
Let me think. No.
Right. Okay. So that's Sony. So the next one is Microsoft. So what's your first prediction for Microsoft?
My first prediction for Microsoft, if it hasn't been leaked or announced while we've been chatting, and you can correct me if you've heard of this has become a thing. Xbox One Slim Edition.
Right. So even though they've just announced that new console, you think there still might be something that's kind of slim and sexy?
Yeah, I do. I think that maybe it could be a slim Xbox with 500 gig hard drive and a cheaper price.
Right. Interesting. Okay. My first one is a rare HD collection. So without mentioning a certain garden simulator, this is a HD collection of rare games. So like a bundle with Banjo, with Viva Pinata, with Grab by the Ghoulies, a HD collection from Rare.
Wow, that would be nice. I don't know whether they'd do it, because would that not add momentum to Playtonic's new endeavour? Would they not want to sort of not give them any ground?
Who knows?
Only the Banjo thing though. The rest of it, could well happen. It'd be very nice. Are you predicting that, or are you just wishing for it?
No, both. So that's my prediction and my wish. I go to bed at night every night going, please make the Rare HD collection. So that's my first prediction.
My next one would be Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. More information, some gameplay footage, and a release date. I love those games. I love the last one. Yeah, and
at the Microsoft conference, you'd expect to see that. Do you think it might be timed exclusive?
Yeah.
Wow, that would be a real catch, wouldn't it? And that's one thing that I do kind of expect from this E3. Now that Microsoft did that with Tomb Raider, I can see kind of, and Nintendo did it with Bayonetta as well. I can see all of the companies trying to exclusively lock down an IP, a loved IP.
Yeah, Microsoft are doing this quite a lot, and they've got the money to do it. They've got Elite Dangerous as a timed exclusive as well. So I think this is what they're going to be about. The IPs that are out there, they're going to be snapping them up to sort of make up for this. It's a bit of a lull, I think, that we've had in Xbox for the generation so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did notice that this month's copy of Edge magazine has Deus Ex as the cover. It's the cover game, so there's lots of information in there. So I'm working in London on Monday, and that's my commute read. So I'm going to check that out on Friday, not Monday. Right, my next prediction is quite an easy one, but that we're going to see both Gears of War HD and also Gears 4 during the press release, during the press conference. We're going to see both of those. So now we've got Black Tusk Studios, which has now changed to Coalition Studios. We're going to see them kind of announce both of those games, and maybe, there's always that hope that it's going to be available now, but available very soon, I think, will be the Gears of War HD. And I do think, there has been lots of rumours with that first one being that it will just be Gears of War 1, but I think that's it. I don't think we're going to see a full collection. I think we're just going to see one game, HD, and then maybe a teaser or one of those fantastic adverts or trailers for Gears showing some CG cinematic. Yeah,
that would be very nice. Yeah. I've got a fond place in my heart for Gears of War, and that'd be fantastic. It's a true Microsoft exclusive. That'd be great. My next one, more detail about Windows 10 crossover features with PC and Xbox, and how Xbox is and Windows 10 are going to work together to make your experience better. and even better with PC. I don't think they'll be saying like better with PC, like better with Kinect. I'm thinking they're going to show some of the new features that you can do with Windows 10. Apart from streaming, really, I don't really know what they could be. But I know that there's going to be an Xbox Live app on Windows 10. And so when you open that, you're going to get access to everything that you would have on your Xbox. So things like that. But what I'm hoping that this will bring to sort of the forum is more about how it makes your Xbox better, rather than how it's not so much about it being Xbox on PC and making that better, which it can because of all the hardware and power that you've got on your PC, but how the Windows 10 crossover is going to make your Xbox enhance your experience using Windows 10 crossover. So from PC to Xbox, I'm interested in seeing how that way improves it. So I'm predicting that they're going to come out with some information on that.
Fantastic, yeah. I mean, absolutely, and also DirectX 12 as well. I'd be interested to see what that's going to bring and how that's going to enhance that experience. And it would be really good if they can get these two platforms to really coexist, to really kind of be tightly knitted with each other. I mean, I know with the Windows 10 app there's been quite a bit about that. You can kind of create your avatar, you can customize it, you can do all that fun stuff, pick up your achievements, look at your pictures that you've captured. So when I've been taking all those pictures of Witcher 3, you can look at those, but I would like to see something a little bit more innovative than just kind of looking at stuff.
Yeah, it would be nice. And if they have eked out a lot more power with DirectX 12 out of the Xbox, I'm sure they'll give us some statistics of that. If they haven't managed to make it more than just a marginal increment, then they'll probably just won't mention that at all. But I know that DirectX 12 improves the PC sort of like, by a large scale. I'm not sure about the Xbox, but it'd be really great if this sort of gave us a nice pie chart and said this is what you got now, but once we got DirectX 12 on it, with the games utilising this is going to unhook, it's going to take the bonnet off the engine, and it's going to really rip, and it's going to utilise the what was the phrase for it? It was going to use their Azure servers.
The cloud
processing, yeah, and it's going to work hand in hand with this, and this is an example of how it's going to do it.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, and don't forget that Microsoft are headlining the PC conference as well. So you got Microsoft conferences on Monday, and then on Tuesday there's a PC conference where Microsoft are going to be there. So if it's not in the Microsoft one, then I reckon all of that information and more will probably be in the PC one too.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be a lot on the PC one about bringing Xbox over to PC and bringing you that Xbox experience onto PC. But I'd really like there to be some significant benefits of Windows 10 over to the Xbox, and that's what I'm hoping they'll bring to the table.
Fantastic. My next one, again, is a bit of a wish, but Games for Gold, so that monthly service where we get new games. So the Games for Gold gives us some AAA titles. So they start announcing some real big hitters. I know we've had things like Rayman, and we've got Massive Chalice this month, but they really start ramping this up and really try to one-up Sony, and they start releasing some AAA titles on there. And that would be an interesting one.
Yeah, that definitely would. I mean, I predicted it wrong, saying that Massive Chalice was going to be a combination of Rise and Forza. How wrong can you be when it turned out to be Massive Chalice? But yeah, they've held off for this long. It's probably long enough in the tooth now that they could release some of those first AAA titles. And a bit like what we said before, what better for them? Get the crowd, cheering by announcing that. It'd be really good if they could do that.
Absolutely.
I think it's definitely feasible.
Indeed. Have you got another one?
Let's have a look. I mentioned it before. Elite Dangerous, timed exclusive on Xbox One. I think they may announce Christmas time release, just pre-Christmas for that. Nothing really more to add to that. I just think they'll mention it.
Fantastic. On my next one, I think that there will be an even bigger push for indie titles. So ID at Xbox has had the momentum's building on that. We're getting more and more indies every week, but I still don't think it can match the PSN and the PS Plus. And also Steam. So I think we'll have a bigger push because everybody is so in love with indies. I mean, last year they showed just a quick trailer with all of these indie games, and the one that grabbed everybody, it certainly grabbed me, and I was reacting straight away to it, which was Cuphead. And that was the one that looked like a kind of 1950s cartoon, and it was amazing. It looked hand-drawn, looked fantastic, but we haven't really heard anything. There was a bit of Gamescom, but we haven't heard anything from them. So I expect for them to, back in the... to kind of revisit the stuff we used to have back in the day on the Xbox 360, which was Summer of Arcade, where they would have like 6 really good indie titles.
Yeah.
You know, you buy 3, you get the last one for free. And, you know, I expect something like that to come out of there, and them to really... Because, you know, whenever you read anything or listen to anything that's coming out of Microsoft, they are always touting indies, and they're always touting ID at Xbox. So maybe they will actually start doing something with that and really kind of ramping it up.
Yeah, that would be really good, and it's funny because it's sort of like back in the indies. It's kind of that the indie kudos is almost a bridge from publisher to gamer. It's sort of that middle ground where if you support the indies, it's sort of you're more down with the kids, if you like, it more down with the gamers. So it's quite important, I think, to get that backing of them to sort of show the gamers that you're looking in, you're backing new and original ideas, and that can only be a good thing.
Yep. Absolutely. I've got one more. So do you have another one?
Go on, do yours, and then I'll do mine.
My last one is again, it's a big wish, but Microsoft will announce backward compatibility. Now, I say this now, could this come via PC? You know, could you put your disc into your PC and you would get it, and you can play that game? Maybe some little bit of up-resing or something like that. You know, because you remember previous Xboxes had that ability of backward compatibility. But if you look at, there's a web page that's run by Microsoft, and it's feedback at Xbox, and it's all about kind of you submit what you would like, and people then say, yeah, I'd like this, and they all kind of vote on it. The biggest one, and the one that always tops the charts, is backward compatibility. So Microsoft have, in the last couple of releases, like updates, firmware updates, they've taken from this feedback at Xbox website, and they've actually included some of the things that have been asked for there. And to see that the top 2 things are Gears of War HD collection and backward compatibility, you know, are they going to just ignore that? Bear in mind, this is a website that they set up and a forum that they set up. Are they going to ignore that, or are they going to somehow try to give that to the fan base?
Yeah, I mean, the only way they could really do it, they can't change the technology in the console, but they could have a streaming service, couldn't they? That's the only way they could do it.
Or they could release an app. You know, a lot of their stuff is app-based, isn't it? You know, achievements, friends, YouTube, all of that, they're all app-based. So they could release an app that's almost like an Xbox 360 emulator.
Yeah, a bit like the EA Vault thing, but an emulator for 360, you just open it, and there you go. That would be cool. Let's see if it happens. The next one from me. Some more information, hopefully a release date. I'm going out there for the games here. For Scalebound, which was an Xbox One exclusive, announced at last E3, and really haven't heard anything of it since. It was a fantastic trailer that they showed of like a monster hunter jumping off a dragon, and it just looks really cool. So I'm hoping. I don't think they've got any choice but to give some more information about it, really. It's by Platinum Games. They've got a reputation for making fine games. So I'm looking forward to that, hopefully being talked about next week. And that's it. Fantastic. That's it for my Microsoft list.
Okie. Right, now onto really I think the hardest one. When I was thinking up kind of what our predictions or thoughts could be, the one that really kind of had to rack my brain was Nintendo. So what's your first prediction? I'll let you fire the first shot.
Yeah, I haven't got many for Nintendo. As you say, they're a bit of a dark horse, really. And it's always difficult to second guess Nintendo. You know, you never know which way they're going to turn. They've already said that they will not be talking about the NX, their new console, or the mobile platforms that they're going to diversify into. So my predictions are, and I was really, like you say, I was struggling to think of what it could be. Are we, in light of the new console, perhaps a Wii U price cut to give it even more of a competitive edge? It's a good console, it's got some good fun games on it. I'll just reel these off, actually, because they're quite quick. And then new F-Zero, Star Fox, and Zelda announcements. And that's my predictions. That's all that I can really come up with.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they'll start the show with Star Fox because they've already been talking about Star Fox, so I think they'll start that. And maybe they would go as far as they would change Star Fox to a bit like Star Fox Adventures, on the N64, where it was a little bit flying, a little bit kind of exploration. So maybe it's going to be something like that.
Oh, I hope not.
But interestingly, with you saying that no NX or DNA, which is their mobile platform, I actually think that they will end their briefing video, let's call it their kind of their whatever that their Nintendo event,
isn't it?
Yeah, they will end that with either a tease of the NX or a tease of the DNA games.
Okay.
I think there's going to be a little bit kind of we leave you with this. And it's going to blow everyone's mind.
But they said they weren't going to say anything. they can't do that.
Well, let's see which one of us is right. And I do think I will be kind of waiting for that. I mean, my other predictions is I do think because Wind Waker sold really well for Nintendo, I think they're either going to. I would love a Mario 64 HD.
Oh yeah.
I would love a new Mario game, which I think could potentially be that NXTs. It's like, oh, here's Mario 64 HD, and then at the end you just hear the woohoo, and it is a beautifully Pixar-looking Mario that you will then be able to play. So I think something like that. Maybe Zelda, maybe Ocarina of Time, or maybe Majora's Mask for the Wii U. And then I think one that kind of makes sense would be Animal Crossing for Wii U. And I know they're bringing out something called Room Maker or something like that. Animal Crossing Room Maker. So an Animal Crossing Wii U game with lots of amiibos to attach to it, I think would be amazing. But again, I found it really hard to try and rack my brains about what Nintendo could bring.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it probably won't happen here because if they're not going to talk about the NX, if they did tease it, that'd be great. But I'm sort of just hoping when they get round to announcing the NX that it's something that is new and different and but not something that's going to be great, some peripheral. I'm happy for it to be a peripheral if it's good, some kind of Wiimote thing that's just you're like, whoa, this is so good. I never even thought of it, but when you see it, you're like, how could nobody have thought of that before? Sort of thing. I can't even think what that would be. I'm leaving that to Nintendo, but either. And if it's not that, I want it to be a really powerful console.
No, absolutely. I don't think we're going to see anything with NX because they would definitely leave that for a Tokyo Game Show if they were going to do anything. But I do think, my hope, my prediction is that they will leave us with just a tease of something. And I hope it's not the DNA games. I hope it's not the mobile games because that would be a bit of a anticlimax. I do hope it is, Mario and Luigi bouncing off to the sunset.
Yeah, that would be great rather than
a really lovely sunset.
Yeah, sort of jaw-dropping sunset. And we really hope that it's not Mario and Luigi bouncing around in a copy of Candy Crush on some mobile platform. But let's hope so. Let's hope so. So yeah, that's it for Nintendo, isn't it? Then we move on to some more general predictions.
Okay.
So Fallout 4 release date, sort of goes without saying, really.
Yes.
And then Platinum Games has got a new game to announce. And they're going to announce it at E3. Undisclosed what it is and what format it is. But Platinum... Then this is strange because they're the ones behind Scalebound that I just mentioned. So what they're doing working on a new game?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they're doing two. They're quite a big studio, Platinum Games, or they're getting bigger. So maybe they are working on two projects at once. One thing I would like to not see this year at E3 is anything that is beyond Christmas 2016. I don't want to see something that's coming 2017. That's what E3 2016's for. And I do. So I hope that if Platinum Games do show us something, that it's something that's going to be coming out within the next 18 months.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's a change that needs to be made in the industry. Really, maybe for the insiders, you can go that extra mile and show them what's coming in the long term, but just keep a lid on that and keep it quiet and sort of regain that element of excitement and surprise that you can only really get with shorter spells of releasing of information.
Absolutely.
So what else have you got for your general sort of category of predictions?
Well, my first one is similar to your Last Guardian and something that's been teased time and time again. It's Beyond Good and Evil 2. Last year we had some really good screenshots and I think even a cinematic kind of CG a trailer which showed the big hog guy kind of sitting on a car, and it just looked fantastic. And I do love Beyond Good and Evil. So Beyond Good and Evil 2, showing some gameplay footage and a release date and some real kind of solid information behind it.
Yeah, and that it's still being worked on by I'm not sure how to say his name, Michael Ansel. I played Beyond Good and Evil after hearing so much about it because they did a remaster on 360.
They did indeed. They did a HD, didn't they?
Yeah, and that's how I played it, and I absolutely loved it. Apart from the fact it wouldn't let me invert my controls. But yeah, I really liked it, and I thought I just thought it was a great game. I really did, and it's hard to believe that we haven't seen Beyond Good and Evil 2 yet, and it's such a cliffhanger that it got left on as well. So yeah, that would be fantastic. But yeah, it is a bit Last Guardian-esque in that everybody wants that every E3 since Beyond Good and Evil, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But yeah, fingers crossed for that. Fingers crossed for that for definite.
So what's your next one?
What else have I got here? Mirror's Edge Catalyst, multi-platform game. Lots of information about it. And again, I'm just predicting that there'll be a release date for that, and hoping that one hasn't come out today that I've missed. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping for there. I think that they will see some gameplay footage, and I'm crossing my fingers that it's gonna. See, I loved Mirror's Edge. I thought it was great. I really loved that point of view and the way that they sort of shook up the FPS. Not the first-person shooter, but the first-person perspective, and used it in that sort of free-running manner. I thought it was really immersive. And at the time, I thought it was groundbreaking with the clean lines, the way they did it, even though it wasn't necessarily, unbelievably powerful graphics or anything, but it was the style, style over power, really. They just made it really beautiful. And what I would like is that we're going to get this new Mirror's Edge announcement for an imminent release with a style that's very reminiscent of the last one, but next gen to the nth degree. So we're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, that's another one that I'm hoping for.
Fantastic. And that's EA, isn't it? Is that EA?
It is. Yes, yeah.
Fantastic. And my next one is Star Wars. I expect there to be a lot of Star Wars at E3. I know we've got Battlefront. I know we've got Disney Infinity 3.0, which is heavily in Star Wars, and it's going to be in my house as soon as that comes out. But I expect to see more Star Wars. I think there's going to be maybe some movie tie-ins, maybe some more Lego games. I think we're going to see a lot more Star Wars at the E3 because we've got that big Episode 7, we've got Rogue One coming out, there's a lot of material, we've got Star Wars Rebels as well. There's a lot of stuff that's out there, and I'll be surprised to see if the gaming industry leaves it alone. I expect to see quite a bit of that. Yeah,
definitely, and EA are going to be all over that, I hope, and I can't wait to see. I mean, I was so excited about the Battlefront reveal, so if there's going to show us more of that and other things like that, and things that maybe would rival that game that got canned when was it LucasArts that were working on it? It was like I-1130 or something.
Yes, that looked amazing. I mean, they had some standard guy as a placeholder, didn't they? But there was strong rumours that could have been Boba Fett, and that you were playing Boba Fett in Agent 313 or something, or whatever it was called.
That looked so cool.
But it looked amazing, and I'd love to see that. I'd love to see maybe a Han Solo game. There's been rumours that's been floating around, so I expect to see a couple more Star Wars games or some Star Wars material coming out. Yeah,
definitely. I think that here's hoping, but that sort of will be fantastic. My last one really is a bit of a joke one. Shenmue is going to be announced on all formats, and it'll be in 4K.
Oh, bliss!
It's going to come with an adapter that basically allows 4K to stream from your Xbox One or your PS4, and that it's a universal adapter. It works on both of them.
Wow. That would just be so cool. If Sony is listening, or not Sony, I guess that's Sega, isn't it? If Sega is listening, make that happen.
Yeah. It's all part of the new Dreamcast too.
Yeah. Oh god, that would be even better. Excellent stuff. Well, that's our prediction. So what we should do is maybe kind of keep track of those and then have a look, at our post E3 show to see kind of how we did score and if we got any of those right, if we were close to any of them. But I thought before we finish this kind of bonus episode, I thought maybe we'd just kind of relive maybe some of our favourite moments, whether they were good or bad or cringeworthy, but kind of just relive some of those favourite moments of E3. Darren, have you got one? What are your kind of favourite moments?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many really. Most of them really embarrassing sort of things like translations going wrong, Kinect not working, and things like that. But I just sort of thought I'd settle on one, and that was E3. Xbox One had just had its sort of car crash keynote with announcing the DRM always online launch, and it angered the fans so much. They were incensed in the 5 hours that it took. Between their announcement, because Microsoft went first, and then Sony went, it was their turn 5 hours or so later, and then everybody knew that Sony were going to launch their PS4 as well. So Jack Tretton took the stage for PS4 and just stood there and basically checked off a list saying that PS4 would allow pretty much everything that Microsoft said that it wouldn't. So he walked up on stage and announced that PS4 would allow used games and that it wouldn't have DRM. And it was just such a great moment because I'd been quite frustrated as we discussed in the last podcast about not so much that it affected me, because I, like yourself, my Xbox was always on and I'm happy for updates to download, but it was that taking away of choice that annoyed me, and I use physical media as well, so I was a bit annoyed about it. And yeah, he just said that, and because I'd been stewing about it until I'd seen the next speech, Sony's event, it was just so great. It was just like a wave of elation for me. Just sat there in my lounge. I remember feeling like it was like the end of a film, where the good guy gets him, like the end of Rocky or something. And Jack Tretton just stands there. The press, the crowd in the room just. They were standing up, there was a proper ovation. They were like cheering and clapping. The wildest applause I've ever heard from an E3 event. And then he just stood there and basked in the glory, and just a smile on his face, and you just knew, and he knew that you knew that PS4 had owned that, and it was just a great experience. And I would have been behind, it could have been the other way round, and it could have been Microsoft that did it the other way to Sony, but it was just the moment, and it was taking advantage of that moment and embracing it and just doing what had to be done, and it was a great moment, and it wasn't cringy, and he did it well, and that was it for me.
No, absolutely. Jack Tretton, the car salesman of the gaming industry, he really did just get up there and he gave Microsoft a 1-2, didn't he? I remember watching that because it's about 2:00 in the morning, isn't it? By the time they wrapped up, and you're right. You did just sit there stewing for about 5 hours, thinking, is this what the gaming industry is going to be now? Is it? These next gen consoles are going to have problems right off the start, and then Sony just almost they might as well have just had Microsoft's key slides up on the screen and said, we're not doing that. It was I don't know if that, I'd love to know the behind the scenes of whether that whether their slides changed or whether the message changed, and because it was just you've just heard those people say this, then you can trade in a game whenever you want, you can do whatever you want, you don't have to have it online. It really was like almost line by line what Microsoft just said. It was, but like I say, I think the best thing was that smile on his face at the end. He absolutely loved it, and I do think that you're right, the crowd were up, and I do even think they were chanting by the end of it. It was just this real raucous kind of excitement, and even kind of back in the UK at 3:00 in the morning, 2:00 in the morning, whatever it was, you could feel the buzz, and all the people that were up and on Twitter at the same time, everybody was going crazy, and it was a real interesting moment.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of relief in there as well, because if Sony had echoed or mirrored what Microsoft had laid out, it was looking like a very controlled future for console gaming, and it was a fear that I think a lot of people had, and so there was a lot of relief in there with the elation that that Sony had actually turned around and said, no, we're not going to do that, because if they could have, and that would have been it. It would have been sewn up.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it was. I mean, the following year, which was last year, I don't think Sony had as a good year, and they didn't have Jack either, did they? They had somebody else. But I still think they just still bask in the glory that was that keynote, and it's interesting because, I mean, there was a lot of games that were being shown at that keynote, but all you remember is just that bit, that last kind of 15 minutes. That's what you remember of that, and it's an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. So, what about you, good self? That was the pick of the bunch for me. That's it. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there's like two things for me really. I mean, one of them was showing my age, but getting CV&G or Edge or whatever magazine it was, about a month later after E3, and just grabbing that E3 edition of all the magazines and just kind of reading as much content, because that was before we covered them live, before they were covered live on TV or streaming, and the only way you could really find out about them was these magazines, and I used to just love that. I always knew that E3 was happening, so you knew that next month was always going to be a good one. I even remember getting American magazines as well, like EGM, and I really did just kind of buy everything and just try and find out as much information about what's just happened and what's coming out. So that's kind of one of mine. That's kind of real kind of old school. But for the more recent, I think one of the standout moments, and and thankfully it's happening again this year, is Aisha Taylor doing the Ubisoft conferences, because she's just amazing. She comes out and she's like full of swagger. She delivers the conference with kind of a little bit of the big grin on her face. She delivers it with a smile, but she's a video gamer. She is a gamer, so she's enjoying it as much as we are. So she's enjoying talking about these new games as much as we are enjoying hearing about these new games, where Microsoft come on stage or Sony come on stage, you get these awkward developers that kind of talk about games. You sometimes get people, we've seen people doing the Just Dance demos, we've seen them doing the Kinect demos, the Milo demos, let's not even go there, and it's or sometimes it's like cringeworthy and it's awkward, but then out comes Aisha Taylor, who is just this breath of fresh air, handles it just the right. And the thing that cracked me up is that she did it 3 years ago, was her first one, and she got so much negative flack from idiots, basically. They were just going, "You're nothing but a face, you don't play games, blah blah blah." And the greatest thing about it that was she then wrote this letter on Facebook that was like, "Dear gamers, I've been playing this since Return of the Jedi. I've been playing this since my Atari, since 5th grade. Gallagher's my favourite game. I'm Gears of War super fan panelist." She was just listing all of these things that she's done, saying about that even before most of them were born, she was playing Defender, that she was, and I just like, this is amazing. And then she came out the following year, did exactly the same. I think that was the year that she had like #Gilwood on her t-shirt, and she just comes out, she just gives it a little bit of attitude, a little bit of kind of tongue-in-cheek, but delivers it, and also makes fun of those awkward Ubisoft developers that come out and show Assassin's Creed or show, do that Just Dance demo, and she just makes fun of them, but at the same time respecting them and respecting what she's doing. I think the Ubisoft show ended last year with that awesome trailer for the Tom Clancy Division game.
Division, yeah.
And when they cut back, you could see that my face that I had, which was this ginormous grin, she had it as well, and she was like, "Oh my God, that looks amazing." And you're sitting there going, "Oh my God, that looks amazing." And it was almost like, that she's genuine because she knows there's no actor that could fake that, not even Al Pacino could go, "That looks amazing," you would believe it. And I just think, and I'm looking forward to it this year. And I just think that's a real highlight of more of a modern E3.
Yeah, definitely. She's certainly got, it's just like you say, it's just the right amount of tongue in cheek, but the confidence as well. Not going over into arrogance, and just and just giving that overall air of a proper gamer, a bit like Phil Spencer, and you feel a connection. You feel a connection with these people, and when you feel that connection, that's it. They've got a winner on their hands, and they want to keep hold of somebody like that.
No, absolutely. I mean, what I might do is in the podcast notes for this podcast, I'll embed the link to this Facebook letter if I can find it. But it was from Aisha Taylor, and it's a real good read, and you do end up just kind of applauding her at the end of it.
Yeah, I think I'll stick a link to Jack Tretton's little speech as well, because it is a moment worth watching.
That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. Right, okay, well that's about it then. I guess that's it for this little kind of bonus special edition. Like I say, Darren and I will be back after E3, so we can have a look and see which one of our predictions are right, if we get any right. I'm hoping for about 4 or 5 of those to be right. But yeah, so join us back on Gamers Lost Ark Pod after E3, and I guess all that remains to say is see you later, talk to you next week, and enjoy E3.
Yeah, thanks for listening, enjoy E3. Bye for now.